You're dealing in concepts, the world of ideas. So it comes down to your method of reasoning and how you come to the conclusions. Right? But that is a complicated wrangle that I would discourage you from getting involved in. For me, there is no need for a human being to ever be in that sort of mind state. Now, it's going to be presented to you and pushed to you that you should adhere or take on board man's conceptual ideas. Right? That's up to you. If you want to get yourself involved in a never-ending rabbit hole of belief, fantasy, whatever, that's up to you. As a realist and as a man that takes reality directly and accepts it for what it is directly at this level, then that is not a place for you to be going. If you can stick to that, then clarity will come really quickly. You will start to be able to separate the gibberish, man's fantasy world, from the actual, tangible, real world. So as I say, what I'm going to offer you up here is my position. And as I was talking about earlier in regards to why I came on board with this, was because I could see what was being done. And it's a continual thing that goes on to this very day, that if you let it be known that you are investigating the validity of the claim that you are born into, that being that you live on a globular earth, you are immediately labelled. What you're going to see when you investigate this is how a cult behaves. Okay? Now, a cult never applies logic or any solid reasoning. It's about maintaining the belief, maintaining the myth, having its disciples in that delusion, and chastising and belittling anybody to the point of harassment who dares to go against it or question it, or worse, leave. Right? That's exactly what it is. It is a cult. A cult that has been, solidified and given real grounds and traction because of the invention of this apparatus that you're viewing on right now. The globular earth only exists mathematically, conceptually on paper, and represented as a two-dimensional image on your TV screen. So just like any other situation, if I tell you I can fly or I can perform this, nature-defying, thing, but the only way that I can demonstrate it to you is through a TV screen, immediately the level of your skepticism is going to increase to the maximum. So again, why do you apply that to this belief in a globular earth? Because the only place that you or anybody else is experiencing the globular earth is on your TV screen. So, what position are you starting from when you start this investigation? The position that you start from is your immediate reality, your direct experience. Now, regardless of what anybody's going to say to you about that, it can never be taken away from you. They'll say things like, you can't trust your senses. Oh, you can't trust your senses. Yeah, every aspect of technology, all the scientific instruments, all the things that they want to profess and claim about their beliefs, all comes down to your human senses. Instruments that are derived, that are invented and created by human beings are done so utilising the senses that you have. These are the foundational aspects. These come first and foremost before anything else. So when people start offering you idiotic, ridiculous rhetoric like, you can't trust your senses, that is true to an extent, like I just demonstrated for you. You can't trust what you see purely on a visible representation, because 9 out of 10 times you will be wrong. If I offered you an object in the distance, and all you have is your vision, you're not going to know what that object is. You're not going to know the full size, scale, volume, what it's made of. You don't know any of that. So when we're isolating senses then we can be deceived, we can get things wrong. When we accumulate using all the senses and we have access to things in 3 dimensions, then the human mind, the human ability has demonstrated time and time again how phenomenal it can be. Right? Through the whole spectrum of human consciousness, you can witness these things. Intricate details from engineering to art. Right? Your senses are no flawed. Isolated, things are inconclusive, you can get things wrong. Accumulated and having access to things in 3 dimensions, your senses work perfectly fine. And if you're somebody who denies that right now, then you don't have a right to be existing. You don't have the right to be breathing. I would have to question how you even made it this far, denying that foundational aspect. So, if we comprehend that, then I'll ask you again, your starting position, your direct experience, what is it? Your direct experience is that you're no moving. That when you look at a horizon, it's a level, straight line. When you experience standing bodies of water, the surface forms an equilibrium. Again, a horizontal, straight line, worded as level. There's nothing in your direct experience that tells you you're on a gyrating, rotating, wobbling sphere, chasing the sun through an infinite void known as the vacuum of space. So what you then have to do is identify why that's in your consciousness in the first place. And again, what you're going to find is that it comes back to the TV. It comes back to language, intimidation. The majority of this was done when you were an infant, when you were a child, when you never had the ability to reason. Right? You never had the capabilities of critical thought. Critical thought was never offered to you. You were never given through your education system any aspect of the liberal art teachings, the trivium in particular, where we take words, information, knowledge, we then process that and we put it through a filter to come to a conclusion at the end. Now, you don't really need that when we're talking again about objective reality. You don't really have to process it. You know, I can demonstrate something to you physically. The processing part comes is when human beings apply language to it, when they're trying to give descriptors and explanations for the phenomena that they're experiencing directly. That's where the separation comes. I'm focusing purely on the physical nature of things and what you can demonstrate. You don't even have to speak in that regard. But what you really need to comprehend is that man's utterings, this language, does not shape or determine physical reality. It has no influence over it. The only influence it has is your perception of the natural phenomena. So again, this should help you to keep it simple, to keep it clear, that when man utters his gibberish, what you're expecting and what you should be waiting for is the physicality, the practical reference. We have to look at the reasoning because that's what it is. It's a process of the mind. And what they're doing is they're taking intangible phenomena, right? And they're making interpretations of these things. Remember what I said about when you're only isolated to, one aspect of your senses. So in this regard, we're talking about the sun, the moon, the stars.